If you're lost or lonely, come inside. We're waiting for you. If you open your heart and open your arms, we're close right through. Doesn't matter where you've been, we're just glad you're here. Come and join our family. You have nothing to fear. If you're lost and lonely, come inside. We're waiting for you. If you open your heart and open your arms, we're close right through. No one needs to be alone when all is said and done. When we stand with open hearts, Spirit makes us one. If you're lost or lonely, come inside. We're waiting for you. If you open your heart and open your arms, Spirit flows right through. Sisters, brothers, dads and mothers, won't you come inside? Sons and daughters, seek still waters, unity or die. If you're lost or lonely, come inside. We're waiting for you. If you open your heart and open your arms, we're close right through. If you're lost or lonely, come inside. We're waiting for you. If you open your heart and open your arms, Spirit flows right through.
Good morning and welcome. Good morning. This is just a gentle reminder to check to make sure your cell phones are off during the service. Thank you. We welcome those who are here for the first time, and we invite you to visit our First Timers table at the back of the sanctuary. Please fill out the blue form and return it to the bookstore for a gift. And now for our special announcements. There is on September the 1st at 2 p.m. Unity will be going to Glendale Crossings, and Pauline Duncan Thrasher will be leading us there. Please remember this date, and if possible, come to that service. On September 12th from 7 to 9, Arjuna Ishaya will be at Unity and will share his practical approach to living a full 200% life, which is based on the book 200%, an instruction manual for living fully. The suggested love offering is $20, and that is a Thursday night, and everybody is welcome. There is a Pizza and Principles class, which is being offered on Sunday, September the 8th from 12 to 2. It will be held in the Children's Ministry Room, which is at the back, up the stairs at the back. This class is a prerequisite for any members. If you also are interested, pre-registration is required, and there is a sign-up sheet in the fellowship room on the table at the back. Everyone, of course, is welcome. Now, for a special presentation. Today, for One Humanity, Many Stories, Bonnie Orvidas will focus on Sikhism.
I'm really honored to talk about Sikhism today, having now researched it, and as you're listening to me, focus on how much Sikhism has in common with unity principles and teachings. Sikhism means disciple, seeker, or learner. It is a monotheistic religion which teaches the full equality of men and women. It emphasizes daily devotion to the remembrance of God. One should remember God at all times. Sikhism teaches religious freedom. All people have the right to follow their own path to God without condemnation or coercion of others. Sikhism originated in the Punjab region of the northern part of the Indian subcontinent at the end of the 15th century. It is the youngest of the world religions and the 9th largest. Guru Nanak Dev, the first Sikh guru, wrote sacred text that has been followed by 10 subsequent gurus. There are 35 million followers worldwide and 500,000 in Canada. And Jagmeet Singh, the leader of our federal NDP party, is one of those persons. The Sikhs are credited for creating the path to Canada for all South Asian immigrants. Somewhat unique among world religions, Sikhism rejects the notion that any religion, including their own, holds the monopoly on spiritual truth. It rejects all forms of rituals, such as idol worship, fasting, pilgrimages, and superstitions. Sikhs acknowledge one creator, which is all-pervading spirit, without form and genderless, neither male nor female, and which is approached through dedicated prayer and meditation. 3 main principles guide Sikhs. Always be absorbed in meditation and prayer. Make an honest income by honorable methods. Share earnings and selflessly serve others. Sikhs wear 5 visual signs of their dedication. A wooden comb in the turban to keep hair clean and untangled. A steel wristlet as a sign of faith. Hair uncut to honor the Creator's intention, and a small sword symbolic of defending the religious rights of all faiths. Sikhism has a practice of 3 morning prayers, a midday prayer and an evening prayer. Community and cooperation are the most important tenets of Sikhism. Worship together and sing praises to God, and cook and eat together. Sounds like us. Sikhs believe that egotism is the biggest hindrance to the timeless truths of God. Daily meditation is practiced to reduce the effects of ego, which are greed, pride, lust, anger, and attachment. It is immoral to show distinction between race, class, or gender. Universality and equality are the most important pillars of the faith.
Unity's foundation is affirmative prayer. That means Unity defines prayer as the most highly accelerated mind action known. It's an affirmation of truth and a communion between you and all that is. Through prayer, the mind is renewed and circumstances transferred and transformed. If you wish prayer for someone else or for yourself, you are invited to use our prayer box, just up front here. Put a first name only on a piece of paper and place it in the box. No need to explain the situation, as Divine Mind is all-knowing. It will be prayed over here at Unity by our prayer angels for 30 days and then sent on to Unity for additional prayer. Remember, 24 hours a day you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach Silent Unity where people have been praying with and for people for over 130 years. If you wish private prayer, one-on-one, or the sharing of healing energy, our prayer chaplain will be available at the back of the sanctuary following the service. Just take a seat in the chair in front of him. Today's prayer chaplain is Sylvia. Could you come forward and lead us in prayer, please?
Why is it changed? Why is it changed?
Doesn't matter at this moment. We love our uniqueness. So I invite you to settle into your heart space and prepare for prayer. And as we come together in prayer, we open our hearts and minds to learn a deeper understanding of spirit through the music or the words. And we take this time to invite anyone that is hearing my voice to focus on others that they would like additional prayer for, including other services, certainly all unity gatherings. And take a moment and just whisper the names of those that you would like to add to this circle. We are so grateful that this group of divine individual beings has come together at this time for fellowship and learning and understanding and the sharing of love. Feel that love that's in your heart and allow it to flow from your heart and expand. Feel the love in the room returning to you. And as we focus on sending our love out to the world, today we focus on the seniors that are out there. Some may be lonely, some may be sick. Our love warms their heart. We see healing, loving energy flowing through them. We see people visiting with them and hugging them. And we know that as we send the love out to the world, that everyone's heart is changed, and we're so grateful for this. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Sylvia. For those of you that do have questions as to why the order of service has been changed today, you're welcome to speak to Reverend Lori when she gets back from Germany. And now our message from the Daily Word brought to you by Silent Unity. My divine nature is unlimited. If I look only at my day-to-day human experiences, it's sometimes hard to believe that I am an unlimited spiritual being. After all, I have errands to run and tasks to finish or people to care for. My time and my choices can feel easily limited. But I know the truth of my soul. I take a moment to pause, breathe, and remember I am part of a magnificent whole, a being formed by light and love, a beloved player in this game of life. I am here with a purpose, to love and be loved, to give and receive, to choose joy even among the errands, tasks, and caregiving. This life is my opportunity to be an opening for God on the earth. My divine nature is unlimited. You show me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. In your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Psalm 16, verse 11. Now we are going to have a video by Nadia Namad titled Water.
No, we're not.
Okay,
That's next week.
you're invited to sing the chorus.
That's next week.
Oh, my apologies. It's been changed again.
This is a little tune that we wrote some time ago, and it has a message that I think is kind of universal. It talks about the power that Spirit has, the power that we all have to better ourselves and be better for people around us. It's called Walk With Me, Spirit. Walk with the Spirit, talk with the Spirit, and I'll tell you of the peace that you have brought find this comfort certain, for healing arms around us in sickness, toil, and strife. Walk with me and talk with me, heal me from the heart. I hear your voice and I make the choice to make a brand new start. Walk with the Spirit, talk with the Spirit, remind me of the things I've learned along life's bumpy trail. Stories of sadness and of sickness chased by gladness, the strength you have provided when we're frightened and we're frail. Walk with me and talk with me, take me to your heart. Make the choice and make the voice and take a brand new start. Walk with the Spirit, talk with the Spirit of the healing that is waiting for us if we heed the call. You share the story of the power and glory in the heart that gives you love and prayer, knowing we won't fall. Though life's a rugged way, Spirit makes us strong. So why not seize the day and lift your voice in song? Walk with the Spirit, talk with the Spirit, walk with the Spirit, talk with the Spirit, walk with the Spirit.
Today it is with great pleasure that I would like to introduce our speaker, Catherine Brough. Catherine is a longtime student of Unity Principles and Lessons. She is an avid reader of spiritual teachings and is currently studying for her doctorate degree in metaphysical science through the University of Sedona, California. Arizona. Could have been CA, could have been Canada, but it's actually Arizona. Catherine is an enthusiastic member of Unity of London, having served on the board of directors, and the initials on this is BOD. I got that one. Several service communities, and loves to attend Unity Village for spiritual renewal. Catherine is also enjoying facilitating the weekly class for A Course of Love here at Unity of London. Please welcome Catherine.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Well, I know why all this happened today, but I'm not telling you. Oh, that's fun. So here we are, the last Sunday of August 25th. I don't know about you, but this year is just flying by for me. Out of our 12 powers, the power for August is will. And as we learn in our Unity teachings about the 12 powers, will is represented by the Apostle Matthew and the color silver. And it is located in the frontal brain. Let's remember that as we go through today. Works with understanding, wisdom, and love. Will is the ability to choose, to decide, to command, direct, and determine. We use the ability, I'm gonna interchange ability and power today. So we're gonna say that's the same thing. We use the ability of will to make life-enhancing choices, or not. Paul Hasselbeck says in his book titled Heart-Centered Metaphysics, and I do have a copy of it here to show you today. It is available in the bookstore. He says an underdeveloped will results in a person that is indecisive, is wishy-washy, and just can't make a decision. He says an overdeveloped will results in people having to have their own way all the time, kind of a my way or the highway kind of person. I was going to say guy, but I better say person. Where'd that come from? They are obstinate, and they have a don't confuse me with the facts attitude. attitude. Once a decision is made, they're determined to change it. They can be bossy and very pushy. Both these examples illustrate the ability of will in action. Even though we know the right thing to do, we can still choose something else. So let's look at the example of the young lady who recently decided to drive drunk and caused all those houses to burn. Well, she was certainly old enough to know better, wasn't she? And we can't imagine anyone having a valid driver's license not knowing the consequences of drinking and driving, over drinking and driving. So I find it that people are, the experience for me of this has been that people are pretty quick to condemn this young lady and to say some pretty awful things about her, even though I asked every one of them, have you met her? No, no one knew this girl. They just now know this girl. So I asked people, would you consider thinking this way and sending this to this young lady? Would you consider sending her compassion and love? Would you consider thinking about how much fear she must be in? Would you consider thinking about how much regret and remorse and guilt and shame she must be feeling? I'm choosing to send her love and compassion rather than more fear-based energy. And I'm using my power of will to do that. The title of my talk today is Using Our Ability of Will to Elevate Ourselves to Living in Higher Consciousness. Not just learning about higher consciousness, but living it. Living in elevated consciousness gives us the ability to choose and direct all thoughts and actions to become the best possible person we can become. So what does that mean and what does that look like? And how will I know if I'm doing it? That's the kind of questions I ask myself. Well, every day we make choices. We get up in the morning, we choose, are we going to get up or are we going to roll over and go back to sleep? What are we going to have for breakfast? Or are we not going to have breakfast? What am I going to wear today? What's on my schedule today? You know, that's all the easy stuff. But what about when we get to making decisions where intention and conscious thought is required? What about when we have to decide whether we're going to answer that phone while we're driving? What about, obviously not my favorite things, what about eating what you know darn well you should not eat? What about spending money on things that you are very clear on you do not need? These are the kind of decisions that we make every day. The ability of will is often called the executive power of mind. I love that. It actually activates all 12 of our spiritual powers. If you're not familiar with them, see me after and I will point you in the direction of learning about the 12 spiritual powers. So will is pretty powerful. Think about this as I read to you from Paul Hasselbeck's book titled Power Up. And Power Up is available in the bookstore. It's an excellent read. First, you make a judgment about whether you want something in your life. Is it good for me or is it bad for me? Do I want it or don't I want it? Will is the ability we use to actually make the choice. Have you ever judged what would be best in a situation and actually made another choice anyway? Maybe when you were a teenager, you were grounded and you decided to sneak out the window to meet your friends. I never did that. And aren't we appalled that there needs to be a law prohibiting texting and driving? These examples illustrate the ability of will in action. We know the right thing to do, but still we can make a different choice. Paul Hasselbeck says, we would say this is yet another definition of insanity, knowing the best choice and making a different one. I like that. At this point, we ask your indulgence while, this is Paul Hesselbeck speaking, but I agree. At this point, we ask your indulgence while we take a bit of a side trip to clear up a common misunderstanding. In our experience teaching the ability of will, we have noticed a tendency on the part of some of us to confuse the power or ability of will with what they call God's will. We hear people ask, what's God's will for my life? This question comes from a belief that God has a kind of divine plan or a predetermination where God has already made all the choices for their lives. From this perspective, their power or ability of will would be limited and restricted to their capacity to make choices about whether or not to follow this divine plan. We believe this whole idea stems from the religious practices in which people were raised. This kind of interpretation of God's will implies separation, a sense of anthropomorphic God out there micromanaging our lives. In actuality, the divine plan is for each of us to make the very best choices to express the maximum amount of goodness or godness and higher consciousness that we can at our present level of awareness. And we do this by using our power of ability or will at its highest level. Now let's get back to, hopefully that doesn't rock too many people. Now, I have really, really struggled with God's will, so I was quite refreshed when I read that. Now let's get back to our discussion of the ability at will. As with all the powers, we can use will from different levels of consciousness. The first level, unconscious will. Choices are just made by default. For example, a person has a subconscious belief that he or she is unworthy, and then unwittingly makes decisions to reinforce that belief. Second, the second level of consciousness is conscious will from our senses. So sight, sound, scent, touch, feel, or taste. A person might decide to turn right instead of left because there's heavy traffic, and he or she knows that there's a quicker route home. The third level is conscious will from our human personality based on thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and or beliefs. A person believes that he or she can become a doctor even if it's against all the odds. And the fourth and final conscious will is from our true identity, our higher self. We make choices and decisions that reinforce and confirm our belief in our true divine nature. We stay in integrity even when the other person doesn't know that we're doing something wrong. That's a big one. Even when you could get away with it, you stay in integrity. Thank you, Paul Hasselbeck. Hopefully this helps you see how the 12 powers all work together. They're not individual where you might focus on one and just work on that one. But will activates all 12 powers. In fact, if we were to use the analogy of a play for describing will would be the director. Recently, I've been using my power of will to change words that I use. And I've been wondering, this is a big one for me. I've been wondering, have we become so desensitized to curse words? People using the F word just to fit in, or to think they're funny, or to be cool? How has it become such a popular noun, verb, and overused adjective? What energy does that put out? Who does that bless? And why do I continue to participate in it? These are the kind of things I'm using my will for today to really take a look at. I'm not doing it because of you. I'm doing it. And I'm not proud of it. Can we use our ability of will to eliminate words that no longer serve us? I believe we can. How about using our ability of will to change the sayings that we use? Let's kill two birds with one stone. Oh, what a visual that is for me. I've decided to change that to win-win. Yeah. How about, this is one of my least favorite. Well, that's just Murphy's Law. No, I have totally eliminated those words from my vocabulary. All that talks about is reinforcing that nothing ever goes right in my life. Why would I affirm that? This was good too. I love you to death. Yuck! How about I love you to the moon and back? Or what I tell Larry all the time is I love you more than cheese. That dessert is to die for.
So do I.
That dessert is to live for.
I kind of like cheese.
Are you getting the gist? If it's coming out here, it's in here. I would kill to have their relationship. Hopefully not. How about that relationship is an example of what I want? I think that's enough examples for today. And using your will, it doesn't mean bearing down and saying, okay, that's it, I'm going to do it differently. I'm not going to do that anymore. No, that's not what we're talking about. Using our will is created by agreeing with absolute surrender. Just letting these walls of resistance, if there is some from what I'm saying today, allow those walls of resistance to just melt away, just crumble and fall away. I use my power of will to let go of what I think I know. I use the power of will to help me to let go of what I think I believe. I use the power of will to surrender my thinking. We learn in unity that we manifest from our thinking. So if we need to change what's coming out here, we need to change what's in here. The time of learning has come to an end. The time of living truth is here, right now. I'd like to read to you from the book, A Course of Love. And I invite anyone and everyone to join us in our group on Tuesday mornings at 9:30. Oh my gosh, we are transforming right before our eyes. It's absolutely incredible, the changes that we are experiencing. What you have believed works for you is really like a game of chance. No matter what you try, it's based on this concept of trial and error. No sure results are counted on. When a pattern of thought or behavior has been found to work in more cases than not, it is clung to as a sure thing, a proven pattern, a proven way. You learned ideas such as, well, when all else fails, plain old hard work will see you through, or that safety is the absence of risk-taking, or that information is power. Isn't that a big one? Information is power. The more details of life you have within your control, the more likely you are to control the outcome. Control is seen as a powerful pattern. Because we are working now for the integration of your true identity or the elevation of the personal self, new patterns are needed. You desire to cling to systems that are not foolproof is insane. For their creation is based on the workings of a split mind, and a split mind cannot think clearly. All systems have been based upon your desire to understand the world around you rather than the world within you. If you were to understand the world within you, you would need no systems to understand or manage the world without. If you were to understand the world within, you would need no systems to understand or manage the world without. So we're saying no justice system. We're saying no penal system. We're saying no government. Now, these systems and patterns have become so entrenched that no new learning is seen as possible or desirable, even though the systems and patterns are known not to work. In truth, no new learning or new systems based on the learning patterns of the old will work. Thus, we begin anew. The seeming difficulty with this new beginning stems from your desire to learn anew. You would say, well, if the justice system doesn't work, let's fix it. You would say, if the old way doesn't work, teach me a new way. You would say, I'll work hard and I'll learn to implement the new if you just tell me what the new way is. You might say, teach me the new pattern and I'll put it into effect. What this points out is a pattern in itself. It's a pattern of reaction rather than cause. It's a pattern of looking without and wondering what to do about what you see, rather than a pattern of changing what you see by looking within. Within is where you look to your own heart, rather than to any other authority for advice or guidance. Within is where you find the knowing of Christ consciousness, the consciousness of unity. Looking within is not an attempt to find the answers of the personal self of old. We've done that for years, haven't we? Looking within is turning to the real, higher self for the creation of a new answer of how to sustain Christ consciousness or higher consciousness. This is the covenant of the new, to bring heaven to earth. Exercising my will helped me to let go of my story, not to forget it, but to convert those painful memories to what serves me today. In this moment, right now, what serves me today is faith, gratitude, time with my family, those kinds of things. Growing spiritually. I've also been exercising my ability of will to purge material things and baggage from the past so that I can access more easily my authentic powers. You see, I was that young girl. I was that young girl that made all those houses start fire. And I was probably about her age when I started behaving like that. Would you like to hold me responsible for the rest of my life for the bad decisions that I made? I have. Believe me, there isn't anything you can do or say to punish me that is worse than what I have done or said for myself to punish me. I did not get a lot of love or compassion during those years. I did not radiate love and compassion during those years. So it is true, you receive what you give out. Fortunately for me, I've had so many angels in my life that have demonstrated to me, showing me the relationship that I knew was possible, showing me a lifestyle that I knew was possible, and giving me those shining examples of who I knew deep inside who I really was. And bit by bit, step by step, I said, I don't know how to get there, but that's where I want to be. So as we take this into meditation today, I'd like for you to really look inside. And if there's chatter, if there's things that are interrupting, just allow them to melt away. If this talk this morning has stirred up some anxiety or resistance or any of that, be grateful for it, because it means you're willing to look. Namaste. And let's take this into meditation.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings, see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings, see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
Surely the presence of love is in this place. As we just get comfortable in our seats, take a couple of deep breaths and allow your shoulders to just relax. And allow yourself to just be right here, right now, in this moment. To ask for your ability of will to guide you, gently, lovingly guide you to the resistance or the change that you know in your heart and your soul needs to happen. It's different for each one of us. No two people have the same experience. But all people, every person on the planet, has the Spirit within, ready, willing, and so awesome to guide them in their changes, but to allow them to step into their authentic power. So as we spend a little quiet time together, I ask you to just keep deepening. When something comes up, say, is there more? And allow yourself to go within in the silence. as we go out from here today and we get back into our normal busyness of our lives, ask your power of will to pop up the things that you're continuing to think, say, and do that do not serve you, that do not serve the world, as we create this new world together. So we let it be. So it is. Amen.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Thank you, Catherine, for reminding us that our lives are a result of our choices and our decisions. And let us exercise our will in making the best ones for ourselves and for others. Now it's time for our giving and receiving of our tithes and offerings. Our unity principles teach us we are one with the divine source, and so we give not to source, but as source. Giving has been described as a spiritual practice of radical generosity, giving to what we wish to see flourish. Giving puts us in the flow of divine abundance. By the back door of the sanctuary on the wall, you will find intention cards. These may also be placed in the offering bag. This week, our prayer angels will uphold your intentions for what you want to achieve, either as a plan for your day or your life. Now let us affirm our prosperity together by singing our offering blessing.
Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Well, our next song is one that fits in, I think, very well with what Kathy talked about. We're elevating our consciousness and exerting our will to make things better. And there's a bit of a story behind this song. This is an old tune that you'll remember. It was done by a group called the Rascals, and it became a huge hit for them. And it's called "People Just Gotta Be Free." And it's not just about, although it was written at the time of great racial tension in the United States, it's not just about that. It also talks about the need of everyone to be free of the things that weigh us down, the negative things that impact us. So this is a tune by the Rascals. Incidentally, after this became a hit, they refused to ever play a show again that did not that discriminated on the basis of color. They would not do any concert that did not ignore color completely, and good for them. Anyway, you'll remember this one. All the world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free. Listen, please listen, that's the way it should be. Peace is the man, people got to be free. You should see what a lovely, lovely world need a helping hand. All it takes is you to understand that people live through. Seems to me we got to solve it individually, and I'll do what you do, what you do. Shout from the mountains or to the sea. Don't you wish about it, people gotta be free. That's my opinion would be. That's the situation for a man to be free. Alright, let's do it now. Oh, the feeling just come over me. But not the moon, not the thing I fly and see. Everybody dancing from all let's go see. Peace in the valley, and we all can be free. Oh, the feeling just come over me. Not the moon, not the thing I fly and see. Everybody dancing from all let's go see. Peace in the valley, and we all can be free.
We give thanks for these gifts that were offered today and what they represent for our community, and we are truly grateful. Amen.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Choose love, dear. Let love be present is what we're made of. I choose love. We are all part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us, let this be the one. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love.
As we leave today with joy, love, and peace in our hearts, we use the power and ability of will, and we look forward to the rest of this day and the rest of this week with zeal, seeing God in everyone we meet. Now our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me, I am the light. The love of God enfolds me, I am love. The power of God protects me, I am power. And the presence of God watches over me, I am presence. Wherever I am, God is, I am divine.
Spread the word of what unity can offer. Spread the word of the message that you heard. Spread the word on what it means in your life. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread doors and hearts are open. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word. To anyone who's lost and lonely, spread the word. That we extend the hand of love, spread the word. Spirit welcomes all who join us, spread